When God is preparing to bless you, everything in your life can begin to change. You may not notice it at first, but somewhere deep inside, something starts moving. The atmosphere around you feels different. The people around you begin to show you who they really are, and your spirit becomes restless. This is not always confusion. Sometimes it is divine movement. It can be a sign that God is working behind the scenes, preparing something greater than what you asked for. You may feel like your life is breaking apart, but what if it is actually coming into alignment? God often changes the path before he changes the outcome. Before he brings abundance, he may clear what is blocking the way. Before he takes you higher, he may remove what cannot travel with you. Remember this, when God is preparing you for a new level, he may not allow you to stay comfortable. And if you keep listening, the next signs will become impossible to ignore. The first sign of a coming blessing is discomfort. The familiar things begin to feel different. Places you once enjoyed may suddenly leave you feeling empty. Conversations you once loved may no longer give your spirit peace. The things that once felt normal can start feeling too small for who you are becoming. That is not always boredom. Sometimes it is separation. God may be pulling you away from what no longer belongs in your future. When you are being prepared for something greater, average places can begin to feel uncomfortable. You may feel an inner pressure telling you that there has to be more. That stirring can awaken something inside you that you forgot was there. You are being moved from convenience toward purpose. So do not immediately run from the discomfort. Pay attention to it. It may be the growing pain before a new beginning. The blessing you have been praying for may require you to leave the old place behind. Stay with me, because the next sign is one many people misunderstand completely. The second sign appears when isolation becomes your new classroom. Suddenly, people may begin to disappear. Those you trusted may grow distant. Messages become fewer. The phone becomes quiet. The support you once depended on may seem to fade away. It can feel like rejection, but sometimes it becomes redirection. God does not always remove people to punish you. Sometimes he removes certain connections to protect your next season. Every blessing can bring greater attention, and God knows that not everyone around you is prepared to handle what you are becoming. So you may enter a quieter season, not because you are forgotten, but because you need space to listen. In silence, the noise of other people's opinions becomes weaker. You begin to notice your own thoughts. You begin to pray differently. You begin to recognize what truly matters. Solitude can strengthen your faith and help you see things you could not see while surrounded by constant noise. The blessing may need privacy before it becomes visible. So when certain people walk away, do not chase every person who leaves. Let God show you what that departure means. The third sign that a blessing may be near is unexpected resistance. Suddenly, opposition seems to appear from places you never expected. You may ask, why now? Why are people misunderstanding me? Why does everything feel harder when I am finally trying to move forward? Resistance does not automatically mean that every enemy is part of some spiritual attack, but difficult seasons can reveal your strength, your patience, and your faith. When you begin stepping into something new, challenges will come. People may question you. Plans may fail. Doors may close. Words may be spoken about you that are not true. But you do not have to let every battle control your emotions. Some struggles are not there to destroy you. They can teach you how to stand. Every false accusation can teach you not to live for approval. Every betrayal can teach you discernment. Every misunderstanding can teach you patience. You are not necessarily being pushed backward. You may be learning how to move forward with stronger faith. And this is where many people quit too early. Do not let one difficult chapter convince you that the whole story is over. Then comes the fourth sign, the test of faith. When God is preparing you for something greater, there may be moments when you have to trust without seeing the result. Doors you expected to open may remain closed. Prayers may seem unanswered. The opportunity you wanted may appear delayed. You may wonder whether anything is really changing, but a delay does not always mean denial. Sometimes waiting develops the strength you will need when the answer finally arrives. God may be teaching you to trust his timing instead of forcing your own. This is where patience becomes powerful. Anyone can believe when everything is working perfectly. Real faith is tested when the answer has not appeared yet. Many people give up at this stage because they cannot see what is happening behind the scenes. But what if the silence is not the end? What if preparation is happening where you cannot see it? What if the closed door is protecting you from the wrong path? Take a breath. Keep praying. Keep moving with wisdom. Your current situation is not necessarily your final destination. And if this message is speaking to you, remember this. Sometimes the greatest shift begins long before you can see the blessing with your eyes. Hashtag title: when God is about to bless you, watch for these signs. They stop praying when heaven may be one command away from release. The test is meant to strengthen and refine your faith. God asks, will you still believe when nothing seems to work? Will you still worship when there is no visible proof of your blessing? Those who endure this season are the ones who become ready to receive the fullness of the promise. Because faith is not truly proven in abundance. It is proven in the absence of evidence. When you can trust God in silence, you become ready to hear the sound of breakthrough. So do not give up just because you cannot see movement. Sometimes the greatest work is happening where your eyes cannot reach. The fifth sign appears when divine clarity begins to enter your confusion. After a long period of uncertainty, suddenly your mind becomes quiet. The fog starts to clear. You begin to see purpose inside the pain, meaning inside the waiting, and lessons hidden inside the losses. This is God opening your spiritual understanding. Blessings require discernment. God begins to show you what the struggle was producing inside you. Stay with me, because this next shift can completely change the way you look at your past. You start realizing that every rejection may have been protection, every delay may have been direction, and every loss may have been preparation. When this understanding arrives, you feel a peace that goes beyond what circumstances can explain. That peace is different. It is not simply the absence of problems, it is the presence of trust in the middle of them. God brings order where there was once confusion. When you finally understand the lessons hidden inside your past, you become better prepared to carry the responsibility of your future. You realize that some things had to leave so something better could enter. Some doors had to close so you could stop standing in the wrong place. Some seasons had to end so you could become ready for the next one. Then comes the sixth sign: sudden acceleration. What once seemed like it would take years can begin moving in a surprisingly short time. Things you prayed about start coming together. The right connections appear. New opportunities become visible. Doors that stayed closed begin opening. It can feel like time itself has started cooperating with your purpose. But do not mistake every fast change for luck. Sometimes preparation finally meets opportunity. When the preparation is complete, progress can happen faster than you expected. Things that took other people many years may begin happening for you within months. But this is not about comparing your journey with anyone else. It is about understanding that your previous seasons were not wasted. When God is ready to move, lost time can become meaningful. Every setback, every disappointment, every season when nothing seemed to happen can suddenly look different because you recognize that you are being positioned, trained, strengthened, and matured for the moment ahead. This is why patience has power. Patience gives growth time to become strong enough to carry the answer you have been praying for. And then comes the seventh and final sign: spiritual elevation. Your inner world begins changing before your outer circumstances do. Something inside you rises. Your desires become different. You want peace more than attention. You value purpose more than possessions. You begin letting go of shallow things that once controlled your focus. This is not weakness, it is maturity. God often changes the heart before he changes the situation. Listen carefully, because this is where the real transformation begins. When your heart becomes aligned with what is good, when pride begins to lose its grip, when bitterness starts leaving, and when doubt no longer controls every decision, you become better prepared for what you are asking God to carry into your life. Blessings are not just gifts, they come with responsibility. A greater opportunity requires greater character. A bigger platform requires stronger discipline. A larger blessing requires wisdom to protect it. God will not always give you something simply because you want it. Sometimes he prepares you first because he knows what you will need to handle it well. When you feel this inner transformation, your outer circumstances may soon begin to reflect it. Your thoughts become clearer. Your faith becomes stronger. Your spirit feels lighter. And that can be a powerful sign that something is changing within you. Now listen closely. When God is preparing to bless you, He does not always announce it publicly. Sometimes He confirms it quietly inside your spirit. You may feel a strange calm in the middle of chaos. You may have an unexplainable confidence even when the situation still looks uncertain. That quiet knowing can remind you to stay steady and keep trusting. Many people lose their peace because they mistake stillness for stagnation. But stillness can be one of the strongest positions of faith. It is the moment when you stop forcing everything and allow yourself to trust the process. The world may look quiet, but unseen work can still be taking place. God can work behind the scenes before anything becomes visible in your life. So do not automatically fear the silence. Sometimes silence creates the space where your next chapter is being formed. And before a breakthrough, you may also experience a battle in your thoughts. Doubt may whisper, nothing is changing. Fear may ask, what if it never happens? Your mind may replay every disappointment and tell you to quit. But faith can rise and answer, God is faithful. When these thoughts appear, do not allow them to become your identity. Challenge fear with truth. Challenge doubt with patience. Challenge negative thinking with prayer and wise action. Your thoughts matter because they influence your choices, your courage, and the way you respond to pressure. Guard your mind carefully. Protect what you allow to live there. God is precise. He knows the right moment. He does not always work according to the schedule you would choose. You may be in a waiting season, but waiting does not mean you have been forgotten. You may be getting prepared for something you cannot yet see. A blessing that arrives before you are ready can become a burden. That is why some things you desire deeply may take longer than expected. The delay may be protecting you from carrying something before you have the wisdom, strength, or maturity to manage it. Every delay does not mean denial. Sometimes there is purpose inside the pause. The blessing is not necessarily late. It may be developing at the right time. So hold on to faith even when everything looks still. What you cannot see does not mean nothing is happening. God can be aligning resources, opening paths, changing circumstances, and preparing people and opportunities in ways you could never arrange by yourself. Then, when the right moment arrives, you will understand why certain things had to take time. Stay with this message, because the next sign may be the one you are experiencing right now. When God is preparing to bless you, you may also notice an unusual peace during difficult storms. This peace does not always make logical sense. The circumstances may still be challenging, yet something inside you refuses to panic. You begin trusting that your future is not controlled by today's trouble. You stop obsessing over timelines. You stop measuring your progress against someone else's life. You stop asking why their journey looks faster than yours. Instead, you learn to rest in trust, and that rest becomes a source of strength. Many people think blessings are only about money, possessions, success, or visible achievements. But real blessing begins much deeper than that. Peace is a blessing. Wisdom is a blessing. Discernment is a blessing. Strength is a blessing. A heart that can remain steady under pressure is a blessing. When your inner world becomes peaceful, you are building the foundation for everything that comes next. God often works from the inside outward. He changes your thinking, your character, your priorities, and your faith before changing what people can see. So if your outside still looks uncertain, but your inside is becoming stronger, do not dismiss that transformation. Some of you may be standing closer to a breakthrough than you realize, but you are looking at your test and calling it failure. You are staring at the temporary storm and assuming it is your permanent future. You are looking at the closed door and forgetting that another door may be opening somewhere you cannot see yet. Do not make a final decision about your life based on a temporary season. The chapter is not finished. The delay is not the whole story. The struggle is not the final sentence. If God is using this season to strengthen you, then even the difficult moments can serve a purpose. Keep your faith. Keep your heart clean. Keep moving with wisdom. Keep praying. Keep preparing. And most importantly, do not let what you see today convince you that nothing is happening. Sometimes the greatest changes begin quietly. Sometimes the blessing starts with a shift in your heart before it appears in your hands. So if you have been feeling restless, isolated, tested, clarified, accelerated, or spiritually renewed, pay attention. These changes may be preparing you for a new season. And when that season arrives, you will look back and realize that what felt like everything falling apart was actually God putting the pieces together. Do not assume that God has forgotten you. Storms are not always signs of rejection. Sometimes they are signs of transition. When the wind becomes stronger, it may mean you are being prepared to rise higher. You cannot rise without resistance. God can use the winds of change to uproot you from places where you have stayed for too long. That discomfort, that loss, that delay, it does not have to mean punishment. It can become the push toward your next level. You prayed for a blessing, but you may not have understood that blessings are often surrounded by battles. Sometimes God allows challenges around the blessing to reveal whether you will continue trusting Him. So if your life feels like a storm right now, do not immediately assume everything is going wrong. Look deeper. The turbulence may be preparing you for elevation. Understand this truth. Blessings are not random accidents. They are connected to alignment. When your life begins to reflect divine order, when your words, your actions, and your intentions begin moving in the direction God has placed before you, your life can begin to change in powerful ways. Many people pray for blessings while refusing to change their ways. But God calls us toward order, not confusion. Toward faith, not fear. Toward surrender, not stubbornness. When you stop fighting against His direction and begin following His plan, you may start seeing doors open that you could never force yourself. The blessing may not have been far away. You may simply have been in a season of preparation. God cannot place a heavy responsibility on a character that has not yet learned how to carry it. So every season of testing, every delay, every moment of pruning may have been preparing you to receive the blessing without losing yourself in it. The moment before a breakthrough can feel like the hardest moment of all. Everything inside you wants to quit. The pressure becomes heavier. The silence seems longer. Doubt begins entering your thoughts. But that is exactly when you must hold on to your faith more tightly. Because the darkest part of the night comes before the morning appears. When you feel like giving up, do not automatically believe that you are losing. Sometimes you are simply exhausted from carrying a season that is almost finished. God may be waiting for complete surrender before moving you into what comes next. He wants to transform your heart, not simply satisfy your pride. And when you can honestly say, God, even if you do not give me what I want, I will still trust you, something changes inside you. That kind of surrender gives you freedom from fear. It teaches you to trust God beyond outcomes. Keep listening, because this next part matters. When the blessing finally arrives, it may become impossible to ignore. What once seemed lost may return in a better form. Relationships may heal. New opportunities may appear. Doors you never expected may open. People who once overlooked you may finally recognize the change in your life. You will not need to chase approval or prove your worth. Your transformation will speak for itself. That is often how God works. He can refine you privately before allowing your results to become visible publicly. He can turn your difficult season into a testimony of what He has done in your life. And when God is preparing to bless you, there is one more thing you may notice. Your heart stops chasing things that are temporary. You begin craving purpose. You want to serve. You want to give. You want to encourage people who are struggling. You begin understanding that real blessings are not meant to stop with you. They are meant to flow through you. God blesses vessels that remain open, not hearts that close themselves around everything they receive. When you become a channel of goodness, you create room for more growth. The more you give from a sincere heart, the more your character expands. The more you share what you have learned, the more your influence can multiply. This is the beauty of a generous spirit. It begins with a heart that understands abundance is not only about receiving, it is also about becoming a source of good for others. And perhaps this is why your difficult seasons mattered more than you realized. Every pain, every tear, every lonely night, every quiet prayer was seen by God. None of it was invisible. He saw what you could not explain. He heard the prayers you could barely speak. And now you may be entering a season where you are being called to rise. The signs may already be around you. The discomfort, the isolation, the clarity, the peace. Do not automatically misread them. Some of these changes may be showing you that an old season is ending and a new one is beginning. You may be walking toward a time when things that once seemed impossible begin becoming possible. Stay steady, stay faithful, stay ready. Do not rush the process simply because you are tired of waiting. God knows the right time. And when the answer finally appears, you may look back and understand why the road had to unfold the way it did. When God is preparing to bless you, He can begin by changing your spiritual atmosphere long before your physical circumstances look different. It is a sacred rearrangement that can easily be mistaken for chaos. But underneath the surface, a new order may be forming. What feels like delay may actually be a period of realignment, where different pieces of your life are being moved into a place that fits your future. You are not necessarily being ignored. You may be being refined. You are not automatically being punished. You may be getting prepared. Every challenge, every setback, every quiet season can carry a lesson. God can use barren seasons to develop people who are willing to keep trusting even when there is no immediate evidence of change. Stay with me, because the next part reveals why your thinking may be changing before your circumstances do. When God decides to move you into a greater season, He may first stretch the limits of your thinking. The human mind often accepts only what it believes can happen. If your expectations remain small, you may never recognize opportunities that require greater faith. So God begins stretching your vision. He teaches you to dream bigger, hope deeper, and believe beyond what seems logical. That stretching can hurt. It can feel like pressure. It can even feel like confusion, because the old way of thinking no longer feels comfortable, while the new way has not yet become natural. But that discomfort can be part of your growth. God may be expanding your capacity. A small vessel cannot carry a large responsibility without first becoming stronger. The pressure you feel may not be destruction. It may be enlargement. You are learning how to carry what you have been asking for. And when your vision becomes larger, your environment may eventually need to change as well. Sometimes before God blesses you, He has to confront the things you have accepted for too long. Many people become comfortable with survival when they were created to live with greater purpose. They settle for little because they are afraid of losing what they already have. But God can call you beyond comfort and into something unfamiliar. He can remove what you thought you needed, so you can discover that His provision is greater than your dependence on temporary things. When you lose something or someone, it does not automatically mean your future has been destroyed. Sometimes your next season requires a different foundation. God will not build something lasting on a structure that cannot support it. He clears, He removes, He prunes, not because He wants to harm you, but because He wants to strengthen what is being built. Pruning can hurt, but it can also create room for healthier growth. A tree is pruned because there is still something worth developing. In the same way, the areas of your life that are being corrected may be the very areas where future growth is possible. When God is preparing you for a new season, your discernment can also become sharper. You begin seeing people and situations more clearly instead of seeing only what you wish they would be. You start noticing what belongs and what does not. Conversations that once entertained you may suddenly disturb your peace. Habits that once seemed harmless may begin to trouble your spirit. This can become conviction, not condemnation, but guidance. You begin realizing that you cannot carry every part of your old self into a new season. The blessing requires a stronger heart and a more disciplined mind. Just as gold passes through fire before its beauty is revealed, your character can pass through difficult testing before you are ready for greater responsibility. So when the test comes, do not immediately call it punishment. A test can become a doorway to growth. God may test your patience, your humility, your endurance, and your ability to remain faithful when no one is watching. Can you handle being overlooked without becoming bitter? Can you celebrate someone else's success while you are still waiting for your own? Can you continue doing what is right even when you do not understand the reason behind it? These questions are not because God lacks knowledge of your heart. They reveal things to you about yourself. They show you where you are strong and where you still need to grow. Every test can become an invitation to rise. And if you stumble, it does not mean you have been discarded. You can learn, you can return, you can grow stronger. God is not demanding instant perfection. He is looking for progress, surrender, and a heart that remains willing to change. When the blessing is getting closer, you may also notice something happening inside your emotions. You may feel a deep restlessness, a holy dissatisfaction with where you currently are. It can feel like your spirit knows that something greater is calling you forward. You may wake during the night with a strong desire to pray. You may suddenly want to fast, reflect, become quiet, or step away from unnecessary noise. You may find yourself asking deeper questions about your purpose and your direction. That inner stirring can be a reminder that you are not meant to remain exactly where you are forever. Something is developing inside you. Something is changing. And if you have been wondering why you no longer feel comfortable with the old life, pay attention. Your discomfort may be pointing toward growth. Your silence may be creating clarity. Your waiting may be building endurance. And your faith may be preparing you for the very thing you have been praying for.